What's happening? What's happening?
It's a lovely week in the Chocolate Crown life, I suppose.
Okay, let's get this kind of situated. What's happening, good people? It might be a little loud. No, I think I'm good.
I'm coming down too.
What's up, kings and queens? What's happening? What's happening? How are you, Miss May?
I'm doing all right. The Matrix is special, but I'm doing all right. Glad to be here this week.
Yeah, I know. I want to first apologize for last week. That was a little issue came up, but it's handled, it's fixed, it's cleared up. But my bad. It wasn't Miss May's fault. It was definitely my fault. So I do want to apologize to everybody. Want to thank you for joining us for episode number 12. Number 12. We're going to continue with harmful or toxic uh, conversation, or um, how do we, I guess, continue from our last show? How do we have conversation and healthy conversation before it becomes toxic and detrimental to relationships? Um, so we're gonna get back into that a little bit. I
Yeah.
know. I know.
So we got the family checking in. Thank you guys for joining us on this Sunday night.
What's happening, everybody? Shout out to everybody. What's up, my brother?
Is it a
What's up,
good
Swan?
football Sunday?
Oh yes, yeah. Number one, always we got to start doing that because we are in football season. So
Yes.
shout out to the Steelers.
Oh my
Shout out to the
goodness.
Steelers. You know what I'm saying? Big win. Another big one. They all big, even if they versus sorry teams. We known for losing versus sorry teams. So shout out to the Steelers. Um, sorry to
I
the
think
Eagles.
my Bears did a little all right too this week. We don't want to be
Yeah,
one-sided. I know we
yeah.
live in the Eagle universe. However, we both represent other hometown spaces that we stay loyal to.
Oh yeah, yeah. Shout out to Chicago. They came back. Nick Foles. Shout out to the Eagles. I know they wish they still had Nick Foles because Carson Wentz looks like some trash, but it is what it is. Um, but we started with that, but it's funny because that was my life, but I tend to gravitate away from it because it is a big distraction.
Mm-hmm.
It is a huge, huge, huge distraction from what really is going on. Somebody said if Kaepernick ain't playing, I ain't watching. Well, I mean, the reality is, sweetie queen, is Cap took a knee and started some stuff that needed to be started. He got the ball rolling.
Right.
But Cap also turned down money to play for the Denver Broncos before all of this started. Um, you know what I'm saying? I appreciate Cap for putting a spotlight on all this, the craziness that goes on with our people. So shout out to Cap. But sometimes it's not the messenger, it's the message. So we take the message, and some people could use football and use it as a platform to help spread the message, like they were supposed to be doing in the NBA with the bubble. I don't agree with all of it, but it is what it is. Everybody has to use their platform the best of their ability, and we on the outside, we can't be judging and that kind of thing. I see. Um, I want to shout out to Hype Apparel. Everybody can see, what I'm saying? I'm repping my boy Eric Walker, new apparel line. Um, so this is Hype Apparel. I want you to go check it out, hypeapparel.com. We got some fly stuff for the fall, dope colors. Man, go check out my brother. Go support black-owned businesses. That's the way we do it, man. We make our money stay in our hands. You know what I'm saying? Instead of running to some Target or Walmart or wherever else store we spend our money on, Go on the internet, type in hype apparel, and go check out and see if he got some things you like, because I know he will. So I appreciate you, my brother E. I
And hopefully
definitely
we can
appreciate
probably
you.
partner with him since he is a black-owned business for our apparel line that we
Yeah,
have now.
yes. I mean, we
Or
will.
or somewhere nearby, either way. I'm all about the black-owned business.
Yeah, that's my brother for a long time, man.
Right.
He was the running back on our first championship team back in high school. Um, wouldn't have did it without him, man. So I always got love and appreciation for Eric and his family. I know this might be a little sad off a little bit, but his father was an amazing man, and his mother was even. I mean, you talk about kings and queens. Like this show, it's probably a microcosm of his family, the kings and queens in his life. It was amazing, and I was lucky and blessed enough to be able to get some information from his father, his mother. Beautiful peoples, the Walkers. I definitely appreciate y'all. So shout y'all out. Um, but yeah, if you get a chance, just go check it out. Hider Pearl. Got some fly stuff. Got it on the side. You know what I'm saying? Got my modeling on real quick, but go check it out.
All right, so every week we usually come to you around just various things that influence and impact our families, and the goal out of it all is that we strive to give you the point of view, not necessarily for all, but for the point of view of men, kings, and women, queens. And also in how we work with the youth, which we had a phenomenal workshop on Friday with the Queens in Training, where we were actually talking. It's very similar to kind of what we're going to talk about tonight. And the Queens received it well. Of course, in person is way different than what it is that we can convey here, but giving them a visual of how dead weight changes the conversation and changes their energy as well as their focus was like really, really phenomenal. They was like, oh my God, the Rico had on this dice that they had to throw, that they had to do 550 jumping jacks. And they was like, I can't do that and carry this at the same time. So it was just really great, giving them a real life experience with what it is that they deal with in relationships. So we hope to also offer that in a different way, but more adult content, of course, here tonight.
Yeah, listen, the way we're gonna do it here, I mean, it's kind of no holds barred,
Mm-hmm.
kind of, especially for me. If I feel like saying it, I say it. Especially if I think that our house is on fire. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not
Mm-hmm.
using soft words for a real critical situation. And it was
You
a
might
it
want to
was a
say that example though. Go back and say the house on fire, because you have a phenomenal analogy on how it is that you create the house for the kings and queens that everybody that's listening may not be aware of.
well, I'll just say it like this. I'll um, right now. Every year is very important in your life, but always they say when it's election time, this is the most important time of your life. This is the most detrimental thing. Okay, I get it. I get it. It's very important, and it's always been very important. So if it's that important and your house is on fire, like you're not you're not you're not whispering to tell people your house is on fire.
Right.
I'm not. Shh, the house is on fire. No, I'm yelling. I'm screaming. I don't know who's in here. I don't know who needs to hear this information. So sometimes, and I know for me, sometimes I could be loud, I could be brash, I could be all of the above. And most of the time it's very calculated. It's on purpose. Um, because a lot of times we talk kings and queens. A lot of times our queens, it doesn't resonate with them when a king starts to speak. I'm trying to be a king. I'm always on a process, on a ladder to become one or a better one. But a lot of times, because the man has been removed from the home, when a man tends to speak, a lot of people tend to turn it off or don't want to hear it. Or when
It becomes
women,
uncomfortable.
when a woman says, well, why is it this? And then we give the answer, you want to cut us off because you don't like the answer we're giving. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Instead of listening, because we're giving you the answers, we're giving you the cheat code. So when I'm saying the house is on fire, and hopefully I don't curse and all that kind of stuff, but we grown. If I curse, so what? Only one I'm going to hear it from is my mother, that I'm going to really be like, I shouldn't say it. But my mom is, you shouldn't say that. Okay, mom, you're right. Um, but it's very calculated because the home is on fire, our lives are at stake, and more than anything, like this weekend working with the young people's life are at stake.
Yeah.
They're at stake. They're watching us. They're watching us. They're watching us about to go vote. They're watching us deal with politics. They're watching us deal with religion. We could say what we want, but if they're watching us and the way that we're doing it, we keep getting the same outcome. We can't be mad for kids looking at us like we're insane. So when I heard some of the kids speak this weekend, listen, they might not know everything, but they got something in them where their intuition level is very high. And they could feel when they being played by adults. They feel that when they being lied to by adults. We as adults, we the only people who are lied to ourselves and make our own selves believe somebody isn't telling us and doing what they say they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
A kid will check you on that. Adults, and I say this pertaining to, in a few more weeks, everybody's, now and everybody's starting to vote.
Mm-hmm.
And
Starting Tuesday here in Philly, you're able
right.
to vote at several locations.
So if you hear the voice and you're able to vote, go vote. Go cast your vote. If you feel like it's important and you need to vote and you feel like it makes you a better American, and one of these white men, my bad, I'm sorry. One of
Yeah, you
these
are
white
going
men,
to own.
one of these white men going to do something to change your life. Please, a lot of ancestors, struggled and fought and did die for what they believe their right to vote in this country. Whether I agree with it or not, that's not important. What's important is that you feel that your vote's important, you go use it and you go exercise it and you go vote. But um, it was powerful. And we talked about relationships, and they had some very interesting stories that probably overlaps with what adults go through and what we go through as adults. I mean, and they just deal with it in their youth way, their youth minded ways. But uh, they had some interesting, I guess, takes and feelings and thoughts on toxic relationships and the way people talk to them, the way they feel like they're being handled. Um, and it's interesting because they don't have, a lot of them don't have jobs. And where my mind was going this evening is people in the work world, in the work field, and dealing with bosses and people who are in authority positions. Um, and you feel like you're being demeaned at the workplace and talked to crazy, and you feel like your queendom and your kingdom is on the line. Like they really disrespect. Like, how is it that we go about handling some of these situations? I mean, because ultimately, this monetary value affects you. The way
Mm-hmm.
you answer somebody who is in a position of authority may affect your job. Especially, I'm 6'2" black man in America. Every boss that I ever, no, I can't say that. A lot of bosses that I've had have been white men
Right.
or white women, and you know what comes with that, some sense of entitlement
Mm-hmm.
that I don't hold any weight, that that holds no weight with me. Like, you can fire me, but what you won't do is talk to me crazy. Um, but I think we need some kind of, we need to lay some blueprints, some footwork, some foundation. And people out there you listening to and you hearing the, what we're talking about, you at your job and you got bosses and people over you who are in position of authority and they don't look like you. How are we handling these situations? If somebody's talking to you, demeaning, degrading, downplaying you, you know, just not seeing you as a man or a woman that you are. I would really like to know how we are handling some of these situations, because when I'm talking to young people, I got to go back and come with some info. I got to go back, and when I'm talking with young adults, I got to have some info for them. Like, I can't just say, do it. You got to do it differently, and don't have a way for them to do it. Even when we talking to people that who are young adults, um, how are we handling? How are we handling this situation? What tools are we using? Or are we just spazzing out to just say, forget it, it don't matter, I'm losing it all? You know what I'm saying? And I know most of us aren't doing that. I know.
Right. And
Most
I think like the positioning too of how people are. I'm thinking of another example that you shared in us preparing for this week's conversation, was that recognizing that just because people, no, let me backtrack. People have skills that they're not always aware of. And sometimes when you're speaking with someone, your tone of voice, if you're standing over them or not standing over them, you're meeting them at their level, that changes how someone receives the message that you're saying. Your tone of voice, like everything, like it's like we say it and we know it, but when it becomes violated, we don't know how to really do that whole code switching thing in a safe way, that we don't lose our jobs, that we don't become physically aggressive towards someone, that we, forget what the purpose of the conversation really was, because now we caught up in our feelings and that has activated a whole nother part of us.
Yeah. I mean, once your emotions gets into it, sometimes all bets are off.
Yes.
Yeah, it's always you gotta come back and apologize. Like, oh, my bad, can I get my job back or my friendship? And I think a lot of times, and what I tell young people is, if you have a wide vocabulary, a bigger vocabulary, a lot of the harsh, demeaning words, harshful, hurtful words, degrading words, you don't have to use. Granted, they feel good sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And I'm and um, saying the swear word sometimes, saying the curse word, letting it out. But when they're pointed and shot at individual people, um, I think there's no good way to receive that. So I ultimately think they go on the defensive. So then, it's going to ultimately be a back and forth once you start using certain words. It strikes certain chords with certain words. Um, I being 6'2", and you said when you talking to somebody, trying not to stand over somebody and certain things like that. I've always been pretty conscious and aware that you know, I guess being 6'2", some people think it's like intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
I've also learned to speak with my hands behind my back, and that wasn't something you did growing up uh, in the projects. You ain't had your hands behind your back. No, you
Right.
wasn't trying to get punched in the face. You know what I'm saying? So
Right. You want to
that,
leave yourself wide open.
yeah, you can't leave that chin wide open. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So that was something that I learned. And especially with young people, trying to get down to their level to get them to understand. And it's funny. I'm saying young people, and when I say young people, I do mean kids. But there was a situation this over the last few days. This brother was 28 years old, and it's sad because. And shout out to Joseph Colton. What's up, cuz? very smart brother. But I'm gonna tell a story that he could understand.
Mm-hmm.
He has a real story, like a real story. And he would be somebody that we would probably be try to get on here to have a great discussion, because somebody you just voted for, he went through the crime bills and all that kind of situation.
Right.
Somebody that is possibly a person that people who look like us are going to vote for. Um, but this brother was 28 years old, but he had spent a few years in the system, locked up. And it seemed like he was just froze at maybe 15 years old.
Mm-hmm.
He was just stuck. And everything he was coming out of his mouth, it was like he wasn't a 28-year-old man. And one of the brothers I was with actually got down on one knee outside
Mm-hmm.
and had to speak to this young brother, because he was such a kid. When we started having a dialogue with him, he like lowered himself to the ground and sat down on the ground, like kind of like in a prey position, like if we were attacking him. And
Mm-hmm.
we were, with words, with knowledge, with information, and some of us just wither and whittle away. And it
Right.
was sad. And it was to a point where I told the brother, man, pick yourself up off the ground. First of all, you
Mm-hmm.
stand up and look another man in the face. Like, there was certain things he was doing, and I'm like, it's sad when you see what a system has done, and it's just the ball has rolled down the hill and is now taking our young men and our young boys and just almost completely away, completely out the system. This brother had three kids, and it's just a cycle. And if we don't start doing something about it, like um, any of the brothers that's watching, any of the brothers that's listening, like, we have to take young brothers and give them game. We
Mm-hmm.
can't wait for a system to do it, because they don't know how to do it.
And
You
to
know,
no fault of being raised by a single woman,
none at all.
but it's not to a fault, but it's to understand that sometimes as a single woman, wanting to reprimand and hold consequences over your son, you end up taking away what their ability to make a decision or their ability to kind of stand true to their opinion in the absence of you feeling so angry. Because when they go opposite of what it is that you will want them to do, you begin to model for them everything that they don't want in their relationships, and they tune you out. And then you may say, okay, well, depending on the age of the child, you may use some kind of physical aggression towards that person. But then now you're communicating and changing the way that they will now understand love, and that they will now be able to function in a place of business. Anytime somebody brings like the most difficult situation to them, that they have the critical skills to problem solve it and like throw that presentation out the window, all gold stars. However, every time that they come into an interaction with somebody chastising them, they're going to be reminded of that first time that somebody broke them down and didn't build them back up. And that's mainly times by young men and young girls who just don't have the structure of who they are as the core base.
Oh, listen, that's why one of the things, and I wish I had it here right now, I put up for the kids is a mirror,
Mm,
because we always want to say, I want love, or I want that person, or this, that, and the other. But you're such an unfinished product,
mhm.
especially at a young age. Um, you don't even know yourself. You ask somebody any the smallest minute thing about themselves,
Mhm.
and they have no idea. You tend to ask, people who they are, and they tend to tell you what they do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a dentist, or I'm a teacher, or no, like, you don't even know who you are.
Because you're defining yourself by, I always say, social constructs that have been given to us from the outside world, and who we are from the inside that can manifest to be that strong teacher, that strong professor, that strong doctor. comes before you get any credentials. So you do the credentials so society can accept it. However, you're already poured into you where your strong points are. You just need somebody to nurture that in a respectable way.
But yeah, that's why I say, like, I mean, we gonna touch on a lot of topics in a probably short amount of time. But when a system doesn't give you you, when a system doesn't give you you, it's the
Mm-hmm.
system. That's why millions and millions and millions and millions of our kids don't know who they are.
Right.
Now the kids are young men and young women. They don't know who they are. It's a system. They never seen themselves in these books. They never opened up books and even seen pictures of themselves. You don't. So now you got to identify with what you do. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? Instead of identifying yourself as a young lady with Dr. Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. Like there's millions of women who should be identifying with that, but they don't because
Mm-hmm.
they weren't given. There's many men who should be identifying with uh, uh, um, many more African American and Black scholars and Professor James Smalls and Dr. Claude Anderson. But they're not giving them us in these schools. This system is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. So
Mm-hmm.
like when Joseph Colton Ag says, you know, about not voting, there's a reason why he don't want to vote because the people you giving him the vote is the same people who put him in the system some odd years ago.
And I totally get that. But at the same token, it's like we erase the opportunity of even having someone consider us in these other positions. And we often look at who is running for president, whereas that's important. We really have to look at what who is at the local, because the local knows what is happening in our zip code and what's happening in our areas with our census and so forth like that. They are the voices that we need to influence and be knocking on their doors and blowing up their phone lines so that our voices can be heard. We always go to the top, and we never want to follow protocol of actually going through the different steps to get the answers that we're looking for. So in looking for, those voices, we need to know that voting to that degree, is a tool. So, and recognizing that it's a tool is also a protest. We don't have to bang up anybody's windows or anything like that, but we can come out. In 2009, the news was all over the place with how the lines were all wrapped around. We need to be like that to let them know that, even though the laws are not written for us, and I know that that's a show in and of itself that we plan to dig into, but the laws are not written for anyone of melanated voice. There is little things that we could do to prepare for that, as well as build our own systems that we create and we sustain, and that we actually trust each other by being vulnerable and transparent.
You know, we don't even trust the person in the mirror. That's why we won't look in the mirror. So how you gonna trust somebody? But we will trust somebody that the system gives us. We
Right.
will trust somebody that the system gives us. And like a few people saying, vote local. I understand that. I hear you. You have a little bit more influence if you have money, if you have people behind you. You ain't got no power. That's not how America's run, people. This is a game. This is strategic. This is strategy.
Mm-hmm.
This is not they want to be your friend, so they're just going to
Yeah.
let you vote and do things.
No.
That's not how this works, man.
And they
That,
know that we function on our emotions, which our emotion can also be fear, which is also communication. So we allow fear to stop us from really activating what it is that will be beneficial. Then we just basically on a give up standpoint. And you never want to have that give up, throwing your hands in the air and allowing somebody else to make a decision for you, because you're not going to be satisfied then either. So it's like allow them to do something and then be banging their doors down so that you don't have to take on more roles than what's necessary.
we, as a king, you being the queen, this is
Mm-hmm.
where we're going to differ. I don't want this system. I don't want this no more. I've
Mm-hmm.
we've watched way too many of our own people fall to the wayside in this system. So, like I said in several shows before, if you told me you had to die, Fletch, for 5 years from now for it to be better for your boys and the kids, I'm ready to die then because this system is stupid. I don't want the young people to go through what we going through. What I got family members going through. What I got cousins who went through. Who I got friends who got murdered by this system. Parents and grandparents who struggle in this system with the system with a foot on their neck, and then we say that we're gonna go vote and that's gonna change. This sounds insane to me as the king. I'm not talking about from a a a a, a weak victim point of view. No, I'm not playing that. We done. We off that. Ain't no victims here. We ain't scared to die. None of that. So threaten us with jail. That don't matter. Like our kids is on the line. The women are on the line. Like so if we're not willing to do something different because this system has done nothing for us. I'm a black man in America. You know how we get our money? You got to go entertain white people.
Mm-hmm.
That's how
That's
we
the high
opened the
ticket.
show. We opened the show with talking about football, and that was my life. That's how I knew how to get out of the projects because I was fast and had good size and could catch a football. So I used it.
Mm-hmm.
So I used it to maneuver through a system, navigate through a system. And you know what? Every turn, you know what you find out? You're still a black man. Even with a Rutgers degree, even out of PWI,
Right.
even when you go to HBCUs,
Even
even
in
when you,
corporate America, even as an entrepreneur, even as I mean, we could do a whole bunch of even as every setting we show up as a melanated king or queen, and however people's perception is of how we come into the room, and of course demanding a presence because we have that virtue. However, they don't want to respect it. They want to manipulate it and use it in hopes that you will change to coincide with what they want you to do. But when they realize that you are not that person in your character, then it becomes compromising to their brand.
oh yeah, listen, weak, subservient black people is what they want. They
Right. And
don't want you.
everybody's got the entrepreneur mindset either. And everybody's not forward thinking to like what you just shared either. But it's like know your lane and stay in your lane.
Ain't nothing wrong with it because everybody has a position.
And we all need all lanes.
Everybody, and every day you're not the superstar.
Right.
One day you might be the superstar. I need Swanee Gibson for this. I need Joseph Colton for this day. I need Mary May for this day. Everybody's lane, whatever you could bring to the table, you gotta bring it. Nothing is perceived as minor. Nothing. Because we don't know what we're gonna need 5 years from now, 10 years from now. We have no clue. Like we have to start leaning on each other. You have and then I'll let you make your point because you have a president who spoke to you in what he thought was our language by coming out with a $500 million platinum plan. And when you break it down through all ancestors and numbers and everything and all the years and all the slaves, it's $10,000 per person. So he's disrespecting you by saying everything you went through in your family and this whole country having its foot on your neck, you worth 10 bands.
Right.
That's who we about to vote for. Him or Creepy Joe. That's who we about to vote for. That's who my people and they always Trump uses a platinum plan. Biden used Kamala Harris. That's how they speak to us. They disrespectful, and we keep playing in this system. They are very disrespectful. Kamala Harris, go find out who her mother is. Yeah, go find out if those folks like black people. You know what I'm saying? Because Cousin Fletch ain't just taking the surface people, and neither should you.
But we gotta play the game of chess. And sometimes when we play the game of chess, we gotta know what again our position is. But create whatever the strategy is. Oh, okay, that's your blueprint. This is the blueprint that's going to help us move and elevate to the next level. I'm in no way suggesting that whatever blueprint you subscribe to is going to be your only way that you ever consider to resolve any of the local issues, your house being on fire issues, how you communicate to each other issues. There's no cookie cutter way to do anything. However,
Right.
you have to be very open and responsive to say, okay, I see you get the cards that you've been dealt. And is that the way you're going to go? You know, you clear what the game say. Is that your final answer? And then you create your strategy that's going to complement, integrate, but create what is going to be independent for you to be successful. One of the things that was coming up is from the comments, and I'm wondering, like, if there's anything that you would share to a single mom who may be raising a son, a king, and or a queen. You know, in these days and times, when you look at the news and you have history kind of repeating itself from Tamir Rice and Trayvon Martin, Breonna, like everybody, I would imagine a mother being on eggshells the entire time that her child is out. And one of the gifts that this generation has that our generation didn't is the gift of a cell phone.
Right.
However, that doesn't create all the peace that a parent needs when they're trying to protect them from something. So what would be maybe 2 to 3 things that you would say a parent should be mindful of?
Number one is, like, are you in the kid's life? Like, parents need to be nosy and super nosy and super in their kids' life. I don't care. Kids' feelings, no. I'm not going to disrespect you. I'm not going to put you on blast. When you in my house, everything, I'm all in your business. I'm all in it. Because if you hiding something, that means you're doing something you ain't supposed to do. And I can't find that out from somewhere else. Secondly, you just educate them as much as you possibly can. And educating them by showing them things. Like, we didn't have access to a computer like this. So you can actually physically show them kids making awful decisions, kids making great decisions, and put it in their head. And for mothers with fathers, I mean, without mothers with sons without the fathers in the homes, number one, try to get the fathers back in the picture. I mean, even if the dad ain't worth but a Saturday, you know what I'm saying, try to get the kid, try to get them back together. But if
Even
not,
if it's not a financial thing.
Yeah, no, it don't gotta always be.
Currency comes in different ways, so it shouldn't be financial.
Listen, right. A dollar gets spent today and never seen again. You take your kid and give him some info, he can use it when he's 35 years old. You know what I'm saying? So all the fellas, if we got info, give it up. And ladies, put your kids around positive men. Put them around somebody that they can be fed some great information from. And it's going to come from the most unlikely places. Like I said, it's not always the messenger. It's just the message, man. Because I've learned some unbelievable messages from some killers, from some people who have done some crazy things in this world. But they taught me because they cared that I ain't follow the same path. I care that these young people don't go down the same retarded path we going down. You know what I'm saying? But be all up in it. Yeah, like they say, yes, be all in it. Because it's personal feelings. Nah, forget all. You raising a man. And as a woman, yeah, you might have to put the gloves down and bop him upside the head. Because and I'm only saying that because we as men, we challenge when this is nature. We're gonna come to a point where we gotta challenge. So if you put in the work before we get there, now we have nothing but the ultimate respect for you. Even if you spazzing out, even if you're wrong, even if everything's not going my way, I have so much respect for you because of the work that you put in. You know what I'm saying? I might get bigger, I might get taller and stronger, but I'm never going to change the respect and the love and all that because I see the work that you putting in. So those is just a couple of things that I know. And my mom was all in my business. I was raised by a single mom. You know what I'm saying? It was the project, so it ain't but so big. You know what I'm saying? And it's different now. They got Facebooks, Instagram. I would, you know, just get all in their personal business, man.
Because another thing too that I think that is very important if you're thinking about getting all in their business and preparing them for these uncomfortable situations is thinking about how if they come encounter with something bad, like say they walking down the street and somebody pulls over, they need to know what it is that they need to do to keep safe. Like not wait until that moment happens and be like, oh my God, I thought it was never gonna happen in our area code. No, it's happening in the world. You need to prepare for it in your neighborhood. You playing video games. So like if you playing video games, be mindful of all of the codes, the hidden codes. Teenagers are slick and people teach them, and not even they don't have to be even a teenager. There's a lot of back rooms, non-negotiable spaces that they get invited into. Parents, you need to be all up in it. Like you need to check the messages that's coming through. You need to see who's playing on the different games. Now I know a few weeks ago we said gaming was a resource and possible entrepreneurship, but you really have to be mindful of your child has to know when to come to tell you, listen, somebody tried to reach out to me, because that's maybe the only way that you know, like if your schedule's been hectic or whatever, but you need to at least create that space that they know they can come to you if somebody tried to pull over and tried to holler at them, give them some money, or if they're game, whatever. They need to know when the communication, if their gut is telling them something, that they need to listen to it.
Yeah, listen, you just got to be smart. And a lot of our kids are naive, and that's how the system wants them. They want them dumbed down and non-thinkers and non-critical thinkers. Um, and that's what a phone does a lot of times. It takes away your critical thinking skills because everything is done for you. I mean, you just have to go up and get dictionaries and all that. I could say, "What's up, Bixby?" to my phone because I do. I do. I say it all the time. Hi, Bixby. What's the definition of this? And it's making us lazy. It's making us not pay attention and not be aware. And we got to have these kids with their antennas up because there's some
And
creeps.
adults too.
Yeah, I mean, there's creeps. There's creeps, no doubt about it. So every way, every form, fashion, you got to have your antennas up. I mean, we in the city, Philadelphia, and I mean, right across the river is Camden, and these are areas where women are going missing, young people are going missing. You know what I'm saying? So our
Our
kids,
kings and queens are important when it comes to
yeah,
human trafficking, because in this area of Philadelphia, New Jersey, there's 9 different ports, and it may be more, but it's 9 different ports in which they carry bodies in and out of the city. So it's like we have to be mindful when we, especially when we live close to those ports. So if you are in a city that is not in the Philadelphia tri-state area, you need to know what corridor. If you're on 95, if you're on 95, you on open territory. So it's like you have to prepare what's the code word for you and your family. If something is coming up, if they can call you, if the child calls you and they say that buzzword and then they begin to describe their location, not to the degree that whoever is listening can understand, you guys have role played that already. And that's the way it doesn't become detrimental, that you are now with the lost and found and doing the GoFundMe to try to find your child. And then when you find them is not the outcome in which you were looking for. So it's like we have to do more proactive preparation in our communication styles versus being reactive. I mean, that goes across everything. We're saying it in regards to youth, but trafficking happens in the airport. And if you represent yourself in a way that looks like you're in that age group, they're going to pull you aside. There's been several times. I usually travel internationally by myself a lot of times. And in those cases, I'm oftentimes, if I don't start talking to people around me, they'll see that I'm traveling by myself and they'll pull me off to the side, because in most cases, I may represent that younger age group that is the mule, the drug mule, carrying stuff from one side to the next. And so they'll try to interrupt that process. So learning how to communicate becomes very, very important in multiple layers of how it is that we interact with this thing we call society.
Listen, yeah, you just gotta we can't take anything for granted. That's what it is. We can't
leave money on
allow
the table.
we can't allow this system to do everything for us, man. We have to start doing something for ourselves and putting things in place ourselves. Because I mean, ultimately, it's us saving us. It's going to be us on us. I mean, we talking about the kids now, and we watched a verdict last week come up with Miss Breonna Taylor, and it didn't go like everybody expected in this country or everybody wanted. But I honestly could tell you, because I know a little bit about law and black law, and I asked y'all that 2-3 weeks ago to get y'all black law dictionary. Mine's somewhere around here. And you got to understand why they use terms that they use, and why they put us in boxes that they. It's all over lingo, all over language, all over words. Words are spells. Words are powerful. So when they use certain words, I already knew it was over for. When they call you a black person, you hold no weight in the court of law. None. Zero. Right. Zero people. When you go in there as an African American, zero. It's a social construct. That's why people who ain't white.
That's like a fantasy game.
That's why people who ain't white put white down on a piece of paper. So they get looked at differently in the court of law. It ain't got nothing to do with the color of your skin. Nothing. And we still out here, Black Lives Matter. You go in the courtroom standing on Black Lives Matter, you go to jail in that same courtroom. That's because we don't know the game. We playing a game that we don't know the rules. We don't want to know the rules. That's the thing about it. We don't want to know the rules. We want to keep lying to ourselves for trinkets, for this little comfortable stuff they give us. We want to keep lying. But the reality is, before they gave the verdict, I knew. Number one, they took cash anyway. They took
and once
money.
the cash is exchanged or even talked about, that actually cancels out anything that happens after that. And I wanted to say that earlier when the comment was made about Kaepernick. Once there's a settlement that's made, the conversation that we're still ruminating and talking about is really off the table already, because they've made an agreement to be silent.
Listen, it's wickedly brilliant. That's America's system. All my melanated beings, it wasn't made for you. They ain't changed no words in it to make it for you. It give you a couple little black folks, so-called black folks, so-called people like you, and they put them up on the pedestal, and then you wonder why you stuck on the same hamster wheel. Why we stuck on the same thing. Like, we cannot lie to ourselves anymore. We cannot lie. We have been lying to our grandparents was lied to. You know what? When I'm thinking about it, Donald Trump made an announcement about $500 million platinum plan was equivalent to Abraham Lincoln with the Emancipation Proclamation. That's what it was. It's an announcement. Did not one slave get freed by him making that announcement? They still had a civil war.
Right.
Abe Lincoln said, I just don't want y'all to have slaves to the West. What y'all do down South, I'm not going to stop that. He wasn't against slavery.
Right.
They knew how much money slavery made. He made an announcement. This is an announcement that I want to end slavery. But that don't mean nothing. You were still 3/5 of a man. Because his ancestors wrote it in like that. Because they hate you. They hate you. That's why Donald Trump said, make America great again. Because they want to go back to them days.
Right.
They want America great where you was outside getting lynched and hung. They've
been hanging us during this quarantine life. And
Listen,
talking about it, suicides. There's no there is a high rate of melanated people with suicide, but we don't do trees.
yeah,
So
we ain't
every
hanging
time
from no
there's
tree.
somebody that suicide, death by suicide, and there's a tree involved, that's murder.
Appreciate you, bro. Much respect. Much respect. Sundays, 8 p.m. every Sunday, bro. You know what I'm saying? Come check in, man. Comment, ask questions every Sunday. Kings and Queens, we need you. We need you here, man. This is why we doing this, man, to get information from you guys, just to have a space for us to have some real dialogue, man. That's all.
So Candy has a question that I think that you would be better answering since she's talking about her sons.
Right.
Um, she says her sons are grown, but the baby asked when he was in high school, Mom, do you have to be at every game in school? Listen, my mom was at everything, and she would come back early too. I refuse to be bad, but can you do too much?
Yeah, you can do too much. But being at the game, that's not too much. Nope. And he was crazy because the first thing I did was I looked up in the stands to see where my people was at. I felt bad. Listen, when Queen Lean Mama Joe wasn't in the stands, I wasn't going to have a good game. I found her. Listen, in football games in Pittsburgh, we had thousands and thousands and thousands of fans. It used to go down, and I knew where that woman was at. So, and as a mom, no, don't feel bad that you supporting your big head boys. Nah, not at all, man. That's dope. And as grown men, I bet they look back like, yeah, my mom was there, because I had friends who used to say, I wish my mom was there like your mom was there. Because when I seen that, now it's time to show out. Okay. Yeah, now it's time to put on the show. Because the only person I really care about that cares about me is here. You know what I'm saying? So as a mom, just being there is definitely not too much. Now, if
Right.
you try to jump the fence and be on the sideline with the coach, you're doing too much, man. You know what I'm saying? Let the kids, play the game, and then uh, um, you know, when the games aren't, when the game's over and you putting your kid in the position to be better at the game, so you don't have to get them around coaches and people who are going to get them better, so you don't have to jump over the fence. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, just like Joseph Colton said, he wish his was there, and that's
Right.
so many people I know. I know the feeling. I
It's
know
not
that.
babysitting. Like if your child is involved in a sport or whatever it is they're interested in, you need to physically be present, because that communicates that you care to be involved in their life and you want to hear what they're doing matters. Because if you're not present and it's like the babysitting service, or I can go to the club, or I'm going to get my nails done, there's so many other things that you could do that's not making yourself present, then that tells them, okay, well, yeah, that's your thing. It's not important to me. You okay in the hands of the coach. And no,
Also,
you and the coach got to work together.
Also, it sounds like he probably had some friends or some peers around him who parents wasn't there, who talking about why your mom always had everything. Why she got to be at haters, boy, haters. When you got your family and your tree behind you, man.
Right.
Listen, you will always have people who hate. Cause I wasn't a hater of my friends who had fathers in their lives because their fathers showed up at games. I
Right.
was like, damn, I wish my father was here. Because if I'm doing this and my mom was here, if he was here too, man, I might be able to fly on the field. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So the power of having your parents, especially when your parent is supportive. My mom was super supportive. Like she was nobody like Queen Lean, Jolene Fisher, and anybody my age that's my friends that may comment or see. I mean, she was some of my friends' AAU basketball coach. So I know what it's like. I'm playing in leagues and my mom is the other people coach. So, so it wasn't too much. I thought it was dope to me, you know what I'm saying? So if you're a parent, man, stay in your kid's life. Care
I
of
got
your kid.
something funny to say
Uh-huh.
about Candy. Candy's from well, I don't know if she's from Washington D.C., but I know that she is a fan of the Washington team, and she was definitely an all fan out for the name that they represented before, so much that she had it on her tires, on her headrest, in her attire. whenever she showed up on places that we would meet up at, she was definitely representing her team. I would say team too much, but she's a ride or die type parent. So cool lady, cool
Uh,
lady.
that's what's up. Yeah, that's what's up. Sorry it's the Washington football team, but they've been good a
She's
long
still
time.
representing the name that they had before, so I've seen it on Facebook. So thank you for stopping by, Candy.
Yeah, so yeah. Some of the fellas just responding, yeah, like when you have your parent, man, it means something, and they supportive, supportive of you and in your life. So if you out there, Miss Candy, Queen Candy, listen, man, stay in your boy's life. You know what I'm saying? I don't care if they don't like it, stay there because they're gonna need it. We got to stop doing with these kids. You know what I'm saying? What we feel they want, and we
Mm-hmm.
know what they need. We got to start giving them what they need on a consistent basis, always. And for
Mm-hmm.
all that, kids get this, and this is why it's their system. They allow and get they name it. We could go off on this, man. You know what I'm saying? They're giving their young kids too much power.
Right,
Too much. You can't be making adult decisions when you 12 years old. Like Dwayne Wade is crazy. You don't allow your kids to make a good adult decision when they 12 years old.
right,
You're retarded. You're selling your kid out because now a kid who 12 get 18 and be like, I want something different. Now you can't go back.
right,
Now you
right.
can't erase. So certain things decisions are to be made by a parent.
And so, like some of those decisions, Queen Net from the Midwest shared a little earlier in regards to it happens when you have Sunday dinner, and even if it's not Sunday, whatever the day is that you guys all come together and have a meal in the absence of electronics, and you have real talk conversations. I know a lot of times. When families show up, say in the counseling room with me, they're like, "Well, I can't get their attention." I'm like, "What interventions have you tried?" They never tried to say, these are the norms when we have family dinner, or these are the norms when we have family, like game night or something like that. Like, it's no electronics, it's us talking to each other. Whatever notifications you got, they're gonna still be there when we finish our time, but we're not rushing this opportunity of the quality time we spend together. But you end up learning things about your child at dinner, because food is how we commune. As melanated beings, food is what brings us together. And so your children are already aware of that. And we as people, like, even if it's not just the youth, I know we use a lot of the examples around youth, but this applies to if you have some tough conversations to have with your friends, have some food, break bread, and just break down whatever it is you guys need to talk about. Even when it becomes uncomfortable, what is going to matter on the other side of that uncomfort is that you was there side by side, linking arm in arm to support somebody being better.
I understand that. As men, no, men, that was for the women and when we talk to kids. Men, just go to the other friend and tell them. Don't do all this meeting over dinner and all. No, we don't have time for that. That's the ladies. Let the ladies meet up like that. We got to get cut through all the BS. We need men to be men again, man.
Mm-hmm.
Don't sit down and have a dialogue over no fried chicken.
Well,
Now
that's
we
why
need.
the voice of both kings and queens is so important to the nurturing and growth of us as people. And you can't have any conversation without representation of both sides.
Listen, sometimes the man, we need to grab each other up and
Don't mess
listen.
up your new shirt.
Come here, man. Let me tell you what the issue is, man. Stop wearing that
Too
man
tight
bag out,
jeans.
man. That's not a man bag. That's a purse, man. You can't wear that no more. And then move on. Like we listen. I love women. Our society has been feminized all over the place. It's cool. We love women,
Mm-hmm.
but we need men to be men.
Mm-hmm.
We need 100% men to be men. No ifs, ands, buts about it. The reason why y'all out here being taken, raped, tortured, because there ain't enough of us. They are systematically, whether through jail, whether through whatever else they want to do to the man.
Sometimes the spiritual narratives too, though. Sometimes
Yeah.
spiritual narratives is giving them permission to
Listen,
violate women and violate the voice of children. And we experienced that in July when we did the workshop down in the DMV area.
listen, and some of my brothers that's in the religion of Christianity, before they found Christianity, they was warriors. They was tough. They'd take on the world. Now they got Christianity, they soft.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to fight no more.
Mm-hmm.
They're giving all of it to Jesus. Jesus is going to fight the battle. No, Jesus ain't going to fight your battle. You need to fight this demon. We as men, let the women go feel good in church and feel emotional. We need to come out into the streets, man. We have to. Like, we can't be living in this fantasy no more.
Mm-hmm.
This has to stop. This has to stop. Like all the fantasy, God is that, no, sisters, that God is that black man that you see walking down the street, that the system is continuously beat up.
And
Just
taken
like
out of the home. And giving you
taken out
trinkets so that you can keep them out of the home.
You know what I'm saying? And say, we your friends, sisters. We your friend.
But then we're not protected if we don't support our own.
Yeah, look at Brianna. Look at Brianna. Murdered by a sister. The system ain't help her. They didn't help her at all. Who
Right.
helped her was her melanated boyfriend who they said stood up to bust a shot at the cop. That might not even be true. They might even lie about that. But that's who was there with her.
Right.
The melanated brother, the king. So
right.
you got to understand that, sisters. We got to stop knocking each other off that pedestal and help get us back up there. Help fix the crown, man.
Mm-hmm.
Because, listen, and my brother said Christianity was our downfall, and he grew up on Christianity. He grew up on it. But, listen, the answers is in the Bible, too. We don't know how to read it.
Right.
It was a science book. Not the average individual was able to read the Bible. But they used to put it in every hotel so everybody could get it. The average person who you knew couldn't graduate 8th grade, now he the Bible thumper. You can't even read the Bible. They give it to you in Shakespearean language. What is that?
And I think when we talk about it being a downfall, it's more when the humanistic personalities began to put themselves on the altar and change what the dialogue was supposed to be. And then also thinking that dialogue was the law. And that in the laws that was never meant for us. So it's possibly was meant for us in those chapters that was removed, but we don't know that. And I think that once we put the human stuff into whatever was printed and then begin altering it for our personal trinkets is when we began changing the narrative of whatever the original intention was.
Now, Queen Candy, listen, baby, yeah, if it makes you a better person, then you do what make you a better person. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to go off of what you wrote. A man can be a man and believe in God's divine power. My belief. That's your belief.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in knowing. I'm in fact. I'm in actuality. I've seen man on face of this earth do magic. I've seen women. My mom raised 3 of us in the projects. Magic. Powerful. 3 of us. 3 degrees. All 3 different universities. All 3 good people. That's man. That's power. Don't when we do things on this earth, because I know y'all ain't gonna blame God for when bad stuff happens. I know y'all ain't gonna do that. Y'all gonna say it was the devil. I know y'all gonna do that.
Sometimes it's one and of the same person, depending on the values and how you
sometimes, Miss May, all the time. It's all in the same thing, good and evil.
I mean, how we deal with conflict is good and evil. So
God and read that Bible. God was vicious.
But we also, as your friend Joseph is saying, we don't read it for ourselves. We take what the person in front of us in the sanctuary is saying, and we don't always study. Not everybody, but sometimes we don't always study. Yet this becomes a value and another social construct that guides our principles of life. And You just have to be mindful, like what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And sometimes it takes experience, hurt, and pain to make that decision on what path is going to be instrumental in your life.
100%, man. Listen, whatever makes you a better person. I don't care if you was worshiping a ginger ale bottle. If it make you a better person, that's on you. But I'm not following none of these fools. I know a lot of these fools who gonna try to pass off the Bible to me, and I'm 1,000 times smarter than them. 1,000. Why would I believe you? I mean, listen, y'all going listen. And church is where it's nice. It's given to you nice and soft for women to accept. Yes, it's hard for a man to believe that. Men ain't gonna believe that. Men aren't. No, you can't get a man to believe that. You can't get a man to believe that this is the way. Listen, a lot of people ain't read that book and read it the way it's supposed to be read. That's why they believe
And
it.
for their personal content and their personal understanding and on
Ain't
all of that.
no accountability in Christianity. None.
No,
That's what people know.
It's not, and none of the spirit. Only thing that, and I'm not sure that that's even a spiritual cousin, but the Maya is the only thing that I've seen having some accountability.
And where they get their 10 commandments from, Miss May?
What happened?
Where Christianity get their 10 commandments from? Maya. Stolen. So Miss Candy, Queen Candy, go find Maya. If you want to believe in Christianity, go find the father of Christianity. Go find the original. I know it might hurt, but ain't nothing wrong with learning something.
We always should be evolving and learning something.
Listen, go get it. Go.
He looking through his book.
Go get it. Maya.
Meeting the Maya.
Go get it. Go study it. Yep. You learn where Christianity was from, where they stole it from, why they gave it a white face, why my brother Swanee Gibson said it's our history book, but they make everything in there about you awful.
Right.
But go get why you only got 10 commandments and why there was 42 laws, but you only get 10. You only get 10 in Christianity.
So Joseph said he read that book 5 times, and every time he read it, he got something different. Which book are you talking about, Joseph? The Meeting Maya?
Yeah, he talking about
the Bible.
No, he talking about the Maya.
Okay. And I know that in schools, when I'm working to help them understand their culture and their discipline and their interaction with parents, using the principles of Maya is so much more profound and to our family that helps us always to kind of build our community. So for anybody who's interested in those titles, I'll definitely put that in the comments when we log off so that you can have it.
That's what I want you to do, Queen Candy. I want you to read it for yourself, please, because this ain't just the answer. Because they took so much out of this, and then they translated it with a person who murdered his mama. So what he put into this, if you can murder your mother, you are an awful individual. And then you want to tell us remember, this used to be called the Vulgate. That's what it was called. It was called the Vulgate. Go do your homework. Go research it. But then go see where they took it from. 42 laws of Maya. You'll really learn where your 10 commandments come from and why they can't give you all 42, because there's no accountability in Christianity. I can murder somebody and say, oh, forgive me of my sins, God, and I'm good. Mm-hmm. I could go do all kind of. That's why they give it to you, because that's why pedophiles hide in there.
Right.
That's why all these rapists hide in there. That's why they hide. Yeah, that's what they do. They hide in because it was given. They wrote it.
Wrote it. And it's funny because even in working with not funny, it's always interesting to me, and I believe I shared this with you, Del Rico, when I understood Maya and began working in the different schools here in the city of Philadelphia, it was interesting. Although they all came from the one core school that I started at, they began to break off different understandings of it. But then when they wanted to increase parent involvement, increase like having cultural responsive discipline, it was like, okay, no, we need to go back to the core of what Maya is and understanding it, how it really should be the principle on, instead of being a teacher and students will be able to, what is the Maya? What is the structure of every conversation? And you have that accountability that makes your values to be true. So,
Queen, listen. I'm just a vessel giving out information, man, and love the platform. I'm not trying to change your thoughts on anything. I bring the info to you. If you take it and read it, I I would love that because I guarantee you your thoughts will change. But if you don't, that's
but
okay.
welcome to conversation too.
Hey, I love it, man. Listen, I
Mhm.
love it. I love it because what happens a lot of times is what we grew up on, what we've been given, what we spent years and years learning, what we think it was one way. We are so prideful as human beings, we don't want to change.
Mm-hmm.
So even I just gave her, we just gave her some books. You know what I'm saying? That's all for some info. I wasn't trying to change nobody. I am not God. Nope. I'm just human. I'm just spirit having human existence. That's all. That is all, man. And once again, shout out to my brother E, Height Apparel. Please, heightapparel.com. Height height underscore apparel on IG. Go check it out. A lot of stuff for the fall, a lot of stuff for you rock, a lot of sweatsuits and hoodies and stuff like that. So go check it out. But no disrespect to nobody. I'm just giving info. I love to read. It makes me feel good. So if reading the Bible is what it does for you, man, be my man. Listen, if it makes you a better person, I love it, man. You like it, I love it, man.
So one of the things, again, we covered a lot. We covered a lot. I think it was a great conversation. I'm thinking about though the impact that therapeutically, and I never want to leave anybody, not so much this is therapy because it's not, y'all didn't pay me for this or anything like that. But we can have trigger traps that we get triggered by different traumatic situations in our lives that we end up shutting down and not communicating what those things are to other people. And then when we're in the state of experiencing, say, a recall or a memory of something that may not be pleasant, or that we learned a very hard lesson from, we're not mindful of how our energy and how our body language kind of communicates to those around us, because now we're functioning in that frozen state and not educating those around us, okay, what we're experiencing or what is happening, or if there's a anniversary of a significant loss for you happening in this week, and whatever, the energy that you carry in that, you have to be mindful of, and you need to like take inventory to recognize how it is that you show up in those different spaces. And if you're in a committed partnership or relationship with somebody, and even with your children, you need to begin to figure out how, when that trigger trap has come up and you are functioning from a frozen mindset, you're going through the motions of the day, but you're really kind of stuck at something that you've been reminded of. You need to figure out ways in which you can communicate that out, because otherwise it will impact your relationships with your children, your significant others, anybody that you come in contact with, as showing up as toxic. And it's not even intentional. You just really need to be mindful of that, because not only for your wellness, because you're carrying heavy weight that you either need to resolve or figure out the resource that's going to be best for you, and make sure that you're not giving off negative energy while you're trying to just embrace what has frozen you.
Oh yeah, listen, and especially that's one thing I want the dialogue on here to be dope. I wanted to go back and forth. I don't want you to agree, but I don't want you to not come. I don't want you to not comment. I want that because it's a learning tool for myself as well, man. So don't take anything personal. I'm never going to degrade whatever it is somebody does. You know what I'm saying? I'm a realist, so on Monday I look at one way, and Tuesday it could change. So I look at it. I'm not stuck on one idea because that's
Right.
not how this thing goes. It's evolving. So for any of us to say that this one book is the book to enlightenment is out of our mind. That's not how this works. No, It's no one book that's going, you know what I'm saying, set you free mentally, physically, none of that, man. So I'm not gonna ever disrespect anybody's religion. I will question. I will question because I lived in a small part of Pittsburgh. We had 7 churches and it was murder capital. Churches, you hear every Sunday, the spirit of the Lord, Christianity, all this. But everything I know awful happened under the name of Christianity because they brought it to us. And it's nothing to disrespect anybody who may believe it. If it makes you better, like I said, then that's what it's all about. If it doesn't, then go find something else. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just putting up the books that made me better, whether it was the Quran, the Torah, the more science book. You know what I'm saying? Even that, you know, I'll read it all because it's not about the messenger; it's the message. You know what I'm saying? Because listen, I'm 40. I still wear fitted hats and everything, and I try to look a little bit younger and not because I know some brothers my age bald and everything else. So I go places with young people, right? So you get a lot of questions. You get a lot of questions. And that answer coming from the Bible or this religion thing ain't working with these kids. Because they've watched their parents, they've watched their uncles, and everybody else claims some kind of religion. And it's ended awful for them. They poor, they ain't got no money, they struggling, they going to work terrible schools, you know what I'm saying, and everything else. And they like, nah, I don't even want it. So they cutting you off right from the door because it's not resonating with them. Because like Joseph Cotton said, 6 generations of being played with mentally. Not never seeing a picture that looks like you, hearing information of it being you. That's why they gave it to us, because it's a part of the system. And when we grew up, we used to grow up and go to these white institutions and everything else and see white gods, and God was white and all this kind of stuff. So these kids ain't going for the same thing we fell for. They cutting you off. So then they just run to the streets. That's why so many of them in the streets, because at a certain point they're like, nope, my uncle did that, my grandmother did that, my mom did that, same thing. Nope, I'm getting some money any way I can, man.
Right.
And that's the honest to God truth. So we out here in the middle of it. We got to find ways to reach young people.
And our millennials are really, taking the footwork to the streets and making our conversation have life to it in a different way, because they have watched generation upon generation and heard stories. So we just have to support them and their youthful energy and not dim their light because of something that we believe to work for us is not necessarily going to work for them.
No, not at all. And I don't know.
And when they come and say that they want to speak French all day long, you're like, don't nobody in this house speak French. Why you want to do that? Don't kill their dream and kill their vibe. Get them the resources that they can learn how to become bilingual and speak in French, because you never know where they're going to take that.
Well, probably should say, all right, son, probably not French, but let's try Spanish, because Spanish is booming and they out here getting it in. They multiplying by the minute, like melanated people. They are multiplying. So that
language. They melanated.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
They melanated.
A little bit. Nah, they didn't say that. My name Del Rico, man. So I got it all. I'm from I'm from here, man. I'm from America, man. So I am a melanated person from Frog Island. That's where I'm from. Not America, man. But on another note, I appreciate everybody coming in, joining us. We probably went a little bit over. I don't think Mary May minds the hour and 20 minutes, but me, I'll be trying to get out in an hour. But
no, he don't, with his comments and going and giving me all the facts and so forth like that. He don't mind.
I want to thank y'all. I appreciate y'all. Episode 12 was another beautiful episode. Go check out my People's Apparel, Black-owned businesses. And let's just keep coming back Sunday nights, 8 p.m. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend that Chocolate Crown is on, and we just trying to elevate the Chocolate Crown. So come check us out.
All right. Until next week, we'll see you on the Instagram, Facebook. Follow us, like us, all that good jazz. Have a safe week. Stay safe. Be safe.
Hey, I need some gear, my brother.
Take care, everybody.
Peace.